It's week 1 of Comptober, and this week's prompt is haunted. So today we're going to make a little comp inspired by the prompt haunted in the Fusion page of Davinci Resolve. You can follow along with this video if you want to for practice, but all this month we have a challenge where I'm asking you to create a comp in Fusion. You can use some assets that we have available for download. There's a link in the description, or you can use your own assets. You can mix it with other things, whatever you want to do. It's for fun. Email me a link with the form that is linked down below, and I'll review your comps on this channel and, give you some feedback and review them and stuff. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun kind of community thing. So that's what we're doing, but I thought I would jump in and kind of make a tutorial based on one of these prompts. So today we are working on haunted. Let's do it. Here we are in the Fusion page of Resolve, and I'm going to just make a little bit of room here by turning off this show page navigation, just to get rid of this little bar. And I have one of our clips brought up here. This is a shot of an old house that looks kind of run down. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of turn this into a haunted house or something, right? So first thing we're going to do is work on a little bit of color management here, because we want to be able to take a look at our footage in a color managed state. And there are a few ways to do that. I think what I'll do for this is just go up to my LUTs here in my viewer, and I'm going to go under Blackmagic Design and select Gen 5 film to video like this. And that will give us a approximation of what some color management would look like here. Of course, the actual image that we're working on looks like this, but we can work under this LUT and kind of do a grade that is similar to this in the color page and have all of our fanciness in Fusion work out the way that we want. So we're just working in camera space here. This is footage shot on the 6K pocket camera in BMD film Gen 5. And the first thing I want to do is kind of make this look like a nighttime shot. So we're going to do kind of a day to night conversion here. And let's just do that with some color correction. Use a color corrector here. And I'll take the gain down quite a bit, take the gamma down a lot, something like that, and just give this kind of an overall kind of bluish tint. There we go. And we'll rename this, we'll call this blue underscore CC. And I think before that, I want to darken down the top part here, this sky. And maybe we'll do like a curves before that. We'll take this curves, and I'm just focusing on the sky. Everything else is going to be ruined, but I'm definitely going to take down the sky. One thing I'll do is uncheck alpha right here, just so we aren't taking this down. Let's reset that and uncheck alpha. Now I can take this down a little bit. And I don't know, something like that. And I like doing this with curves because it gives me a lot of control over what parts become dark and what parts become bright. And we'll just do something like that, just a darker sky. But look, everything else is just awful now. Okay, so what we'll do is use a mask and just select our sky with our color curves here. So I'll grab this polygon mask and plug this into the mask input of our color curves. And I'm just going to draw kind of a big mask like that where our sky is. And I'm going to do a lot of room around the outsides here, just like that. Then we can take this mask and we can feather it out. I'll hit 1 on the keyboard just to bring this up on the left so we can see this mask, kind of see how soft it is without looking at the image here. Boost this up, and I'm just softening this mask a lot, something like that. And we can just adjust this mask to make a little bit of sense. I don't want to darken things too much down here. And it's okay if there's a little bit of fade here in the sky that's a little bit brighter towards the bottom. We want that to be a really soft mask. Bring this up a little bit, give a little more light in the tree. And now we are making this look more like a nighttime shot. Okay, I think one thing I'll do is maybe boost the saturation a touch, something like that. And so now with this combination of nodes, I'll just select these and hit Control P to turn these off and on. Here's before, this is kind of an overcast day, and this is after. This is our nighttime shot, okay? So you can tweak this as much as you want, but this is kind of our nighttime color correction. Now, this is stuff that you could probably do in the color page. You don't really need to do it in Fusion, but I definitely want a good idea of what this will look like when I'm doing my other stuff. So, take it or leave it. You could always kind of turn these off before you go into the color page, and you can kind of do a similar thing there if you're more comfortable. It doesn't really matter. But I think this is going to be one of the last things that happens. Actually, maybe not, because we might want to, I think we're going to do a little bit of lights in the window here, and we might not want to put those under our color correction, which would be a good reason not to do that in the color page. So let's work on that, shall we? I think let's go ahead and make a merge node like this, and we're going to merge something over everything. And let's actually take our original footage from our media in and merge that over this color corrected image like this. I'll hold down Alt and click and drag on that green line so that we have a little elbow here. And so we're just taking the same image and putting it over that color corrected image. So if I bring up blue on the left, make sure to load our LUT here. So this is what we have here, and then we're putting our original image in front of it. So let's take this image and we're going to do kind of an invert on it. And so let's grab the curves again. And there's probably a bunch of different ways to do a color inversion, but this one's pretty easy. I'm going to select this color curves. Again, uncheck alpha. And in this top right corner, I want to bring this all the way down, but I'm going to do it just by typing in the numbers. So we're going to set in 1 and out 0 and in 0 to out 1. That means that anything that would come in black is going to be white. Anything that would come in white is going to be black. All right. So we're just inverting this. Then we can take this inverted image and we'll just do something like brightness and contrast after that. And I'll make sure to clip our black and our white. And now we can take this and really kind of adjust the levels on this. And now we're really getting kind of a reverse of this dark black window. We're flipping this and getting kind of a brighter window like that. And it's nice because it already has the shape of the window. It already has some texture and everything on it, something like that. I'll even maybe take the saturation all the way down just so it's easier to see where the black and white parts are. Boost this gain up a little bit, take the lift down, push the gamma down a little bit. And what we're wanting is just a really high contrast kind of black and white image here. Something maybe like that. That looks pretty good because what we're going to do is put this over our original footage to make it look like there's a light on in the window. Okay, this is kind of a cool little trick. So we have that, and let's mask this also. So I'll just make a polygon mask and connect it to the merge here. And I'm just going to select around the window like this, something like that. And now we have this black and white window that's kind of flipped over our original window. We can combine that with this technique. If we select the merge and go over here to apply mode and switch this to something like screen, then we can see what this looks like as we adjust the colors. Let's just take this gamma down a little more, gain up a little bit, and we can kind of play with that until we get a nice kind of light level on the windows there. So now we have this white light coming out of the window, and man, look, that was just barely any effort. Right? We didn't have to make a big complicated mask. We didn't have to do a whole lot. We just flipped that image and did a rough mask around it. In fact, we'll probably even just soften this mask a little bit. And now it looks like there's a light on. Of course, the light is really white. So maybe we could do something like put a color corrector after this, kind of push a little bit of warmth in there. Look at this. This is so cool. Now we have this really convincing light on in the window there. I love that. Let's just stay with that. That's really cool. We could do some other stuff with this, add a little bit of texture here, like the lights kind of falling on the edge of this. This would be a perfect place to use something like Relight, although Relight for some reason doesn't really like this shot. It's not working very well. It's not really making a normal map how you'd think it would. So we're going to do sort of a similar thing. Let's just make a merge here, and I'll take the same image, put this over our original footage here, this, and I think I'll do kind of a similar thing here to brightness and contrast, and maybe just punch this contrast up a touch, push our gamma around so that we have a little bit of texture here. And then let's go ahead and apply mode. Let's screen it, and we'll put a rough mask on this merge like this. Let's just see what something like this looks like. Soften that edge a lot. Just kind of take this down, move it around so that we have just a little bit of cast light here. Yeah, so it looks like there's a little bit of light falling on here. So here's before, and here's after. Just adding a little bit of light there. Maybe we want to even do some color correction on that here. Make that a little warmer too. Push this gamma back down a little. All about subtle, right? So here's before, here's after. Just a little pop there. Now it looks like there's really a light on there. Oh, that looks so cool. So legit. You even have the texture in the window and everything. This is a lot better than doing something like just having a solid color over this, because it really kind of just works with the footage a lot easier. So there's our window. Let's make things a little bit spookier outside too. Let's add a nice moon here. So let's go ahead and I'll go to our media pool, right click and import some media here. I have some Halloween textures here. So I'm going to grab our moon, bring this in. I'll hit 1 on the keyboard to bring up our moon. There we go. Nice picture of our moon. And let's go ahead and mask that just to isolate our moon. Just putting a mask right on that media in and softening the edge a little bit, just a little. And now we can take this moon and put it over our footage. We can take a transform, put that in between the moon and the merge. And let's take the size down. Let's put a big moon. Let's put it like right here though. We'll put this behind the trees here in a minute. But for now, We'll just put that there. And one thing we're going to want to do is color manage this, because this image, this is a moon, but it's supposed to look like this. And when we add the color management on top of this, it kind of brightens it too much. And it still might look good for what we're doing, but it's not really correct. We got to really start with a better situation here. So let's just do a really simple kind of trick here. I'm going to hit Shift Spacebar and type CST for color space transform. And for our input color space, this is just from the web. So I'm going to assume it's sRGB and sRGB. And we're going to actually just put this into our camera color space. There's nothing really wrong with doing that, as long as you know you're doing it. So now we're converting that. Let's do tone mapping, luminance mapping. And now we have these matching a little bit better. This is our original, and then this is the color managed version. So they look similar enough. They look a lot closer to correct. And so we're really kind of putting this into a log space before we combine it. Now, it would probably be a good idea to put these both in linear. We're going to kind of just fudge it and get away with it this time. If you want to learn more about why to put stuff in linear and how all that works, let me know in the comments. We'll talk about it. But there is the moon. We have our color space transform, and that seems like it's working just fine. I don't see any problems with the alpha or anything. So I think we're going to get away with that also. And now let's put this moon behind these trees. There are a lot of ways to do that. The easiest way probably is to make a luma matte. And so let's just get something like a brightness contrast. And we'll just take this, again, the same media in, bring it into brightness contrast. Here it is on the left. And I'm going to make sure to clip our black and our white. And we're just going to boost this contrast like crazy. We're going to take this lift down and our gain up, our saturation down. And what we're trying to do is make all of the leaves black and the sky white. Just take that gamma down. There we go. We're getting there. Push the gain up a lot. And we kind of just push this back and forth until we have a nice matte like that. So lots of good high contrast black and white. And now we can use this to control where the moon goes. So let's take this. I'm just going to bring this down here like this. Okay. And we'll take the output of this brightness and contrast and put this into the mask input of our merge. And nothing happens. Yay. The reason for that is we got to select our merge 3 and go over here to our settings. And let's take this here where it says channel. This is under our mask settings. And let's switch this to luminance. And now let's look what happens. Boom. It puts it right behind those, and it does a really good job. Look at that. That's really solid. Check that out. That's awesome. Man, I expected to mess with that a little bit more, but that looks pretty good. I don't think I'm mad about that. So now we have the moon behind our trees, and that works pretty well. And yeah, cool. But this moon is maybe just, there's a few things kind of weird about it. I mean, first of all, it's big, it's stylized, it's okay. You can change the size if you want to, but the color needs to kind of match a little more. So let's make a color correction node. Make sure to check pre-divide post multiply, and let's make this sort of similar to our blue. Let's just kind of push this a little more blue like that. So now we have that a little bit of a blue kind of cast. I think I'll maybe not go quite so far. Something like that. Yeah. So now we have that moon. The other thing I might want to do is add a little bit of fog too. So we can really easily add fog just by grabbing some fast noise and merging it over. And let's take this fast noise, let's push up the detail, push up the scale a little bit. And I'm going to take this merge and just blend this way down, just so we start to see it a little bit. There we go. Maybe you can take the scale up a little bit, go a little bit stronger than I normally would here, just so we can see it a little easier. And same thing, we're just going to mask that merge like this. And I'm just going to make some kind of blobbies and just soften that a lot. Now we have some kind of ground fog here. Yeah, it's cool. Maybe put a little more fog back here. Maybe not quite off screen like that. And just so this fog doesn't brighten things so much, I'm going to take this subtractive additive and I'm going to bring it all the way to subtractive, I think. Let's just blend that up a little bit. It looks a little bit more natural that way. I don't want to do that for everything, but for adding fog on a night scene, that sometimes helps. Something like that. There's a little bit of fog. That looks cool. Let's add a little bit up here in the sky too. Maybe we can just do this on the same thing here. Go. This one might need a separate thing, actually. We'll just merge over some more fast noise here, and we'll draw a little shape around the moon here, soften it out. There we go. Something like that. And this one, we're going to leave additive, and we're just going to take that down a lot. Just push it up a touch. This, yeah. Now our shot's looking a little bit nicer. We have some fog. We have the moon. I think I might even blend this moon down a little bit. Just blend it with the sky. Let's take this merge, just take the blend down in our merge, and we'll just kind of dial this in to be sort of reasonable looking. Might be about 80%, something like that, somewhere in there. If the moon's lighting the entire scene, the moon should be pretty bright actually, but shouldn't be like way too distracting bright, right? Something like that. And then I think what I'll do is I'll just add a little glow on top of everything. Just say glow, do the GLO one. Perfect, we're done, yay. Now, take it down a little. Let's push this up. Maybe take the size down a little. This glow parameter, this is like what it considers bright things. The blend is how strong it is pretty much. So everything's bright when glow's all the way to the right. Nothing's bright when it's on the left. And we want to just kind of push that up a little bit to where we start to get into that moon. Let's take that down. I'll just push that up just until we start to notice it. Yeah, we start to see that haze right here. So here's before, here's after. It's not overpowering everything, but it's a nice glow. There's an old adage that if you put glow on something, make it about right and then cut it in half. So blend is 0.2, let's do 0.13. There we go. And that's probably the right amount of glow. Yeah, looks realistic, looks nice. Oh, so cool. So I think we're almost done here. This looks nice, looks like a creepy old house. The one last thing I might do is since this is haunted, I want to add kind of a ghost over here. So let's do that. I'm going to grab another piece of media. Now this isn't media that you guys will have access to. This is just from a stock image site. It's this creepy girl, spooky. And we're going to go ahead and put her in the window. So let's merge her over everything and do a transform node and just scale this down a little bit. I'm just going to put her kind of somewhere roughly in the window. Like that. We can use the same matte to control where she goes. So let's just take this right after the brightness and contrast. I'll take the output of this and plug this into the mask of our Merge 6. And on the Merge 6, let's go to Settings, Channel, Luminance. See what's happening here. It's only appearing inside of the window. That's fancy. And actually what I'll do is let's grab a matte control. We're going to get totally crazy here. We're going to take this and plug this into a matte control instead. Bring this up in the left viewer. And we're going to use just a garbage matte. Plug this into the garbage matte for our matte control. And we're just going to just select the window and then invert this so that the matte is only happening at the window right there. And this is where I only want her to be in the window there. So like this. So here's without the matte control and here's with it. We're basically just putting a mask on that matte with this matte control before we use that as a mask for our merge. We should really do some color management here. We're going to do pretty much the same thing we did with our moon. Where's our moon? Color space transform for our moon. Just paste that there. And let's transform this and just move her so she can kind of see through here. Same thing. Let's just grab maybe a color corrector. We'll take the saturation down. And maybe not quite so far. Take our gamma down a touch. And I can also further adjust this matte with something like our brightness and contrast. And let's just really pump that. I can just adjust these thresholds here to adjust this black and white. That shows her a little bit better through the window. And then maybe we'll also just do a little mask here on our girl because we're kind of messing with the background here. And I wonder if we can just maybe even do all of this before we do our window stuff. So let's actually just do a quick mask on her as well. So I'll connect it to here and then turn off the mask. We'll just do a really quick mask. This doesn't really even have to be very good, which is good because I'm not going to take some time and make it good. We just want something creepy looking in that window. There we go. And we'll turn on that mask. And now we have our silhouette of our girl and we'll just soften this a touch. Yeah, here we go. Now it looks like she's looking out. Oh, it's so creepy. Look at that. And then we can just fade her down like this. Oh, and look what happens. We have a little bit of fill light on her. And if we take her down a little more, she becomes more ghostly. Just do something like that maybe. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's so cool. So now we have this kind of little haunted house looking thing. And let's take a minute and just organize ourselves while we review a little bit. Okay, so we have our media in. Let's just split this way here. We have our media in. This is our original footage. We'll just have a look here. So this is our original footage. I'll bring this up on the left with our LUT on. And then on the right, we'll go through the various steps here. So color curves. So we're just darkening the sky. We're doing some blue color correction here. Then we're adding the window. Let's go ahead and label this stuff here. Select all of these, hit Shift Spacebar and type UND for underlay. And hit F2 on the keyboard and call this window. Spread these out a little more. Sometimes this is kind of how it goes when you're comping stuff. It's totally okay to kind of make things up as you go and then go back and just organize stuff a little bit. Helps you review things and also make sure you're doing things the best way too. This next one is the cast light from the window here. There's that. So we'll call that lighting. And this next little section here, that is the moon. So we'll select this and call this, I'm just double clicking off of this underlay and then holding Alt and selecting it to select just the underlay without the other things on top of it. We'll call this moon. And I'm gonna color this. We'll color this kind of a blue for the moon. Then we have our fast noise. So this is our fog. This other one's gonna be clouds. This last part's gonna be our girl, just like that. We'll make this a different color too. Make that violet. Make the clouds a different color. I like to set these as different colors. Green. Fog will be, I don't know, tan. It's already tan. And so now we have a much easier node tree to view. And the very last part here, let's animate this a little bit. So one thing we can do is animate the fog. This is a static shot, but we can still do some fun stuff here. Let's animate this fog. So one thing is the fast noise. We can push up the seethe rate for that. So that will kind of animate over time. That's probably too fast. Yeah, something like that. And then for our fog, let's turn our fog up a touch too. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of this keyframe for our fog, go to the very beginning, and let's kind of move this over a little bit. And then right here where it says right click here for shape animation, you can click this keyframe. And then over towards the end, let's just move this way a little bit. And we'll kind of mess with this. Doesn't really matter as long as it's a little different. This is a soft enough mask to where it's probably going to be just fine. So now throughout the shot, this kind of moves like this. Let's just see what that looks like. It's probably still a little bit too fast. So we'll take the speed down a touch. Yeah. A little bit of movement to our fog throughout the shot. Maybe just a little much. Again, always keep it subtle. Okay, and I think halfway through the shot, let's have our girl appear. So we can just keyframe this merge. So maybe at frame 115, she's not there. And then at frame 16, she is there. Let's just, yeah. One thing that we're running into here is this noise that's happening because of our super harsh color correction here. So what we can do is we can reduce the noise before we do stuff. So I like to use a plugin called Reduce Noise. This is by Neat Video. And let's just plug this into Reduce Noise. And we can click Prepare Noise Profile. And now you can select a part in the footage and then you just hit Build Profile. And now if we zoom in here and then hit Apply, that will get rid of a lot of the noise here. And that might help. So let's bring that into our color curves here. See how that works. Still a little bit of noise going on there. What we might even want to do is just do a still image of that so it doesn't dance around so much. That's probably actually a little better. Let's do a time speed node here. Hold down Shift, put that here. Because this isn't really moving around, we can pretty easily just freeze the frame. So we'll just say speed 0 and delay 150-ish, something like that. And now we don't see that noise happening. The only problem is that it's not moving along with the footage now. So depends on what problem you want to deal with. But it's possible this is far enough away that nobody will ever care or notice. I'd say that's certainly the case. So we can either get rid of that or we can track that and make that actually be a thing. But here you go. Now we have the ghost just appearing in the window. Might be better to have the ghost kind of fade in a little bit. We can just go to our keyframes. Let's just go to the 3 dots and say show only selected tools, because that'll bring up the one that we have selected. Instead of trying to figure out what the heck it's called, take this last keyframe and just push it out a little bit. Yeah, now we have the ghost kind of fading in there. Yeah, nice. Let's go ahead and track that because that's going to drive me nuts. Just use a tracker. Just pump this into the tracker. I'll hit 2 on the keyboard and we'll track something. Let's just track this window since it's nice and high contrast. We'll just track this forward and then track it backward. Okay. And now we can switch this tracker mode, the operation, to match move. Let's just say foreground only. We'll take this time speed and plug it right into the foreground of our tracker. and take the tracker into our window like this. And now that should move along with things. There we go. So now that we have that tracked, it actually sits there with the footage, even though we have those little micro movements, still works. Yeah. Cool. Now let's take a good look at what this looks like. Cool. There's our little haunted house composite, all done in Fusion. Super fun. So there's a way that you could make something creepy and haunted in Fusion. This is certainly not the only way, but hopefully this inspires some ideas and kind of motivates you a little bit to get going, get doing something inside of Fusion. You can do absolutely anything with this program. It's so much fun. Hey, if you haven't really used Fusion and you're like, whoa, dude, this is complex stuff. Well, make sure to check out our Fusion Survival Guide. Those are some of the essential tips for working in Fusion and making cool stuff like this. So there's a link in the description below. Also, if you're watching this in October of 2023, you can participate in Comptober. You can download this footage and do your own composition on it. There are links in the description for that, and you can send it to me and I'll review your work and look through everything that people submit here on the channel. Very exciting, okay? So have fun, happy Halloween, hope you have a great spooky time, and you watch lots of Scooby-Doo because that show is the bomb.